Speedy card! Yes, folks, welcome to yet another Persona run. It's not P4 Golden.
We don't have the technology for that.
Instead, we're going to play Persona 3 Portable.
You don't have to scream it, my boy. I can hear you loud and clear.
Well, what do you mean?
You sound kind of louder than usual, I'm just saying.
Probably just my mic. Yes, Persona 3 Portable, which is more or less... It's a different take on Persona 3, considering that you can play as a female protagonist. Not just that, but it's done in a visual novel style.
And surprisingly, it kind of works better, actually.
I think so too.
I recall you disagreeing with me when I first played it.
Well, what do you expect? After playing it, I changed my mind.
Because, as I told you, Persona 3 didn't really have much in graphics, and then, well, the anime cutscenes, well, they didn't age that well, and they weren't really that great to begin with.
Fair enough.
Even though this looks a hell of a lot better than what they had in the original Persona 3.
Then again, yeah, I know. Then again, 4 years had passed.
Yeah. As opposed to P3 and P3 Fez, which focus on Memento Mori, this game's theme is the butterfly effect.
Because this is based on what would happen if the protagonist of Persona 3 was a girl. I mean, you could still play as the male protagonist if you so choose.
Basically, his game is practically the same, except for the fact that you cannot change weapons like you did in Persona 3 or Fez. And you can control everyone. Basically, everything is just all the extra enhancements of P3P, and that's about the sum of it. There's no The Answer, which I will like to have had an extra UMD of that.
Mm-hmm.
But, hey, 3-4 years have passed, and we still have not gotten a downloadable version of Eternal Punishment. Atlas.
Yet.
Well, yeah, it has to take 6 months after it came out in Japan, so...
Mm-hmm.
And again, the PSP is still doing decently in Japan, of all things.
Mm. And I do like how Atlas added, now please sit back and enjoy the game, even though you'll tear your hair out sometimes. Time never waits. It delivers all equally to the same end. You, who wish to safeguard the future, how limited it may be, you will be given 1 year. Go forth without falter, with your heart as your guide.
Kingdom Hearts is light!
I knew you couldn't resist.
No. Full moon
In case it sounds different, that's because you got a new mic. We're kind of experimenting right now. Terminal Station, evening. Yeah, I will admit, I do like the visual novel style. And then again, I played the Phoenix Wright games, and that made me appreciate visual novels.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, a month or two ago, Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton came out, actually, in Japan.
Pull the trigger.
Well, and of course, depending on sales of Gyakuten Saibon 5, they might actually localize the games.
No.
But that's another story.
Seriously, give me my Ace Attorney Investigations 2. I don't care if I have to have it as a DL. Just give it to me. Now, Capcom. Now.
Do it if you still care about your customers. I'm sure there's someone in there who does.
Oh, shit, we're fucked.
I'm sure there is someone out there in Capcom's hierarchy who actually still cares about the customers. In any case, anyway, moving on. This is about Atlas, not Capcom.
True, but Capcom America actually does take notice of these things. It's just whether or not Japan reciprocates.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will lay off of America for a time being.
Mm-hmm. And that's the new effect of the Dark Aura transitioning.
Hell, that's a new effect of just playing as a female in general. All the
No.
colors.
Well, actually, well, yeah, as a female, yes, but if we play as the male protagonist, that happens too.
Yeah, but it's a different color.
Something about the atmosphere seems odd. You probably best hurry to the dorm. Just not gonna pay attention to what's happening out there. It's just because to her, it's just like another walk in the big city. Except there's like nothing going on.
Well, the explanation is that she's already seen this before, and it's kind of routine.
Mm. Should we spoil since we already covered this in the journey?
Spoiled to do, spoiled to not. I say whenever it comes up.
Yeah, well, considering that I did very little to stop you beforehand.
Well,
Oh well. Then
yeah.
Welcome.
You're terrible at keeping
You're late.
spoilers
I've
secret.
been waiting a long time.
No, I'm a terrible foreshadower.
If you want
Well,
to
there's no need for
proceed,
foreshadowing
then
all the
please
time.
Sign here. It's a contract.
Yeah, this little boy's not
There's
important
no need to
whatsoever.
be
He's just
scared.
here.
It
Even
only
though he looks
binds
like
you to
a prison
accepting
inmate
full
at Alcatraz,
responsibility for
you
your
totally trust
actions.
him.
So, I choose of this fate of mine own free will. Below there's a blank to sign your name.
Personally, I think they should have went the whole 9 yards instead of making Pharos a boy, a chip, and a girl.
Well, Pharaoh. It's Pharaoh's, not Pharos.
Well, whatever. At least it wouldn't be so creepy just having him, floating in your bedroom of a young girl's bedroom. It just seems kind of awkward.
Speaking of awkward, at certain points during the game, he will call you
Well.
my dearest.
Time is something no one can escape. It delivers us all to the same end.
I will admit,
Wishing
though,
won't make it
many of
go
the
away.
many of the new dialogue,
So it
yeah, much of the new dialogue in the game sounds just as natural as the dialogue from the 4 years that had passed. What?
Might be a
Who's
different, ADR director.
How can you be?
Hey, Yukari.
But it's. Don't tell me.
Ow.
I mean, for example, I could barely tell the difference between Yukari and Mitsuru's lines from 4 years ago and then 4 years later.
Right.
They're just that good.
Well, some of it
didn't think
has
you'd arrive
been,
so late.
just
My name is
retakes.
Mitsuru Kurita.
But even so, it
I'm one of the students who live
sounds
in
as
this
if it sounds as if no time had passed at all.
She's a transfer student. It was a last-minute decision to assign her
They
here.
probably also cleaned
She'll
out a
eventually
bunch
be
of
moved
stuff
to a room in
too,
the normal
so
dorm.
it sounds cleaner
Is
and
it
crisper.
okay for her to be here?
Could be.
I guess we'll see. This
I
is
mean,
Yukari Takaba.
That'll happen.
She'll
Yes.
be a junior this spring, just
To
like you.
remind people, Yukari
Yukari.
Takaba and Mitsuru Kurijo
Uh,
are
yeah.
our fellow classmates
Nice to
and our
meet you,
senpai,
too.
respectively.
It's getting late. You'll find your room
Well,
on the third
Mitsuru
floor.
anyway.
Your
Yukari's
things should
in the
already be
same
there.
class
Yeah, I know.
bracket.
Suggest you
Yeah,
tune in for the night.
I think it took me
Oh,
till
I'll show you
recently to finally figure out why the whole dilemma between first year, second year, and third years. Because apparently, I believe high
easy to
schools in
remember,
Japan
huh?
only consist of 3
Since it's
years.
Right at the end of the hall. So, any questions?
Yeah, and middle school in between.
What
Hmm.
are you talking about? Come on, it's not funny.
Yeah, she doesn't know what we're talking about.
Can I ask you something? On your way here from the station, was everything
Other than the
okay?
little creepy little boy, the coffins,
Oh, and the eerily
Either
gigantic
way.
moon.
Never mind. It seems
You're
like
probably
you're
wondering why I'm not using
Well,
auto advance.
better get
Well,
going.
because the pacing for transitioning between lines doesn't sound
I'm sure
as
you
good
still
as it
have other
did in
questions, but
P4 Golden,
let's save them
actually.
for later, okay? Good night.
And besides, not doing it in auto advance makes it go faster. That way, I just progress as fast as I can read it. And please, dude, when we get to certain characters, no voice acting. Because, quite frankly, I remember the times that you couldn't even keep up with me. I know.
suck up. Ugh.
It's Yukari. Are you awake?
Oh, touche, Adam, touche.
Well, hey, I know you gotta keep it in
Did you sleep
practice,
okay?
but Seriously?
Senpai asked me to take you to school.
Yeah, I'm not that great,
Are
I
you ready
admit,
to
but
go?
you gotta keep in practice.
Totally.
Then let's go.
Hey, you're not exactly a spring chicken either.
So,
You have to take the monorail to get there. Bet your last school wasn't like that, huh? This is my favorite part.
Ah, yes,
Just
I'm
like
just
the
remembering the
gliding over
cutscene on the
sea.
PS2 version.
Our stop is Port Island
See,
Station.
whenever we
Central Line.
since we don't have anime cutscenes, they pretty much
Have you ever heard of
they
Tetsuya
pretty much are
Island?
identifying
It's
what
a
happened
man-made
in those
island.
scenes.
They built our school right in the middle.
And the fact that
Oh,
this
look,
is
you can
revoiced
see
so
it
it
now.
doesn't sound so quiet or so awkward.
I don't notice the fact that the anime cutscenes sounded quiet on the PS2.
Morning.
Actually, speaking of which,
Well, here we are.
while playing P4 Golden, I noticed that the animated cutscenes are much higher quality.
Yeah.
Almost as if they were redone from scratch,
Right? You
Mm,
should go see your
or
home
no.
teacher first.
or at least cleaned
The
up.
faculty office is right there to the
I'd
left.
say it was cleaned up
And
mostly,
that
except for
concludes
the
the
new
tour.
ones that they put in that
Do
they
you have
probably
any
used
questions before I go?
Studio Madhouse to help them out with.
Hey, about last night, don't tell anyone
Yes.
what you saw.
Occasionally, you've noticed we have new music as the female protagonist.
And I likes it.
Except for second semester.
I think both second semesters of both the female and the male are kind of meh.
Hanako Arisato, Class F. Yukari's also on the list. You'd be in the same class as her.
Yay!
And of course, for the social links that have existed for both characters, they change. They actually do change
Are you the new
in terms of
student?
dialogue. Well, some dialogue
11th
change.
grade, correct?
And they even add voice
Wow,
cutscenes
you've
to
lived in
some
a
of
lot
them
of
too,
different places.
Yeah.
Let's
which was kind of a nice
in
touch.
1999, that was what? 10
Well,
years ago?
that's mostly towards our
Hey.
teammates that got
I'm
new
sorry.
social links,
I've
Yeah.
been so busy I didn't have time to read this beforehand.
and they even
I'm
added some
Victoria.
new
I
details
teach
to portraits.
Welcome to our school.
I'm pleased to meet you.
My, aren't you polite? Girls like you should be
Even
an
though a lot of the
example for
newer
others.
portraits in this game,
Have you seen the classroom assignments?
Sound
You're
look
in
kind of
C1.
off.
That's my class.
well, they look
But
more
first,
like
we
something
need
for
to go to the
P4.
auditorium. The welcoming ceremony will be starting soon.
What is that I'm hearing? Is
My
it your-
brother playing music.
Figures.
I'd like each of you
Hey,
to
Derek.
remember
Hear
the
it, bro.
proverb,
Yeah. Hey, Derek,
"The
Stephen
job
Prince.
is worth doing. It's worth doing well."
Especially when you're
applied
Derek
to
Stephen
student
Prince.
life,
When
this
applied to
means-
student life, this means, well, absolutely did it all because I'm Derek Stephen Prince.
We got a transfer student.
Oh,
Yep. I've
oh
seen it
dear.
too.
Spreading rumors.
Kari.
Yeah,
I hear talking.
Dakota.
I
You will hate him
Toyomi's class.
in several of the social links that he's featured in.
Going to get me in trouble.
Well, namely, he's featured in one social link,
I think that's Hermit.
Hermit. You will hate him in that.
Sup, dude?
Oh, But this guy, we
Looks
won't.
like a deer in headlights.
How can you go wrong with Vic Mignogna?
I'm Junpei Iori. Nice to meet you.
Manana?
I
No.
transferred here when I was in 8th grade. I know how tough it is being the new kid.
I bet you
So
do.
I thought I'd check up on you. Make sure you weren't freaking
Well, he's
out
trying to
on the
be a
first day.
gentleman, I guess?
At it again, huh? Honestly, is there any girl you
He's a
wouldn't
smooth
hit
player,
on?
this
Did you
Junpei.
ever think you might be
And
bothering
oddly enough,
someone?
much more intelligent in this version
But I was just
than he
being
was
friendly.
in the original
If you
Persona
say
3.
so.
Mostly because he
Anyway,
knew his
some
boundaries.
coincidence that we'd be in the same homeroom, huh?
Well, I'm glad to have a friend.
A friend?
Hmm.
Oh, you mean me?
Of course.
Yeah,
Well, I mean you
I'm glad we
and
ended up in the
Junpei.
same class too.
Hello? Did you forget I'm
I
in
noticed
class
also
too?
that there are certain
Yeah,
schedule
you know, it's
changes
fun. By the way, you guys know
concerning
each other?
between the
I
male
heard
and
you came
female
to school
routes.
together this morning.
Mhm.
A couple of cuties like
For
you
example,
walking side
well, I'll
by
point this
side.
out when we
The
get
whole class was buzzing
when we get to
about
that point.
Ugh, could you just cut it out? I hate dealing with rumors like that. I mean, I'm used
Sadly,
to it,
folks,
but
we
she
cannot
just
have a
got here,
lesbian
you know?
relationship
Don't
with
you
you,
feel
Kari.
bad spreading
No matter how hard
rumors
you
like
try.
that?
You can't. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I've gotta go
Because
take care
no,
of some
she's not
art
into
routine
that.
stuff. Don't try anything.
No,
funny.
instead
You
she's
got that,
she's
Junpei?
she's all for having a platonic relationship.
What does is she, your nanny?
As
Just to clear
you're also
something up,
denied there
I
too.
seriously didn't come over here to hit on
Yeah,
you.
considering that technically
If you
he
ever have a problem, you can
he
tell
will
your
have a
old
girlfriend
pal
of his
Tuesday
own.
about it.
Not just that, but he's
No
much more
problem.
protective of the
My door's
female
always
protagonist.
open, so to speak.
You know, like a younger brother.
Though he does
Well,
an
check
act
out the jogs on the
slightly
road.
less of a dick during
Hey,
the next
did
few
anyone
months,
tell you
but
about the school clubs
he
yet?
gets better.
Girls can join too.
Well,
so
it
why
doesn't
not
make
do it if
sense
you're
when
interested?
I max out his
You'd
social
be
link
joining as a
before
new member,
the
so you won't be able to
before a
apply for a little
certain
while.
full moon operation. I mean, the timing for that couldn't be worse.
I hate you.
Welcome
I
back.
love you. You're my best friend ever. Fuck you! You're better than me!
You should get a good night's rest. Of course, senpai. And of course, since this is like a visual novel, you don't get to see yourself moving around unless you're in a dungeon.
Or a full moon operation.
Or that. Anyway, that does for part 1 of P3P. See you next time in part 2 for when we actually have our first battles.
Hopefully this records.
Or at least our first battle. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.